Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could rate us in the app where you're listening to this podcast, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review. This way more people will learn about the highlights from Ukraine. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 253 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. The International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors found no signs of a so-called dirty bomb in Ukraine, reports BBC News Ukraine. Director General of the organization, Rafael Grossi, said that the experts have completed field checks at 3 locations in Ukraine at the request of the Ukrainian government and have not found any signs of undeclared nuclear activities and materials. Earlier, Russia accused Ukraine of making a dirty bomb, a conventional explosive laced with radioactive material, to use it on its own territory with the aim to blame Russia for this attack. In his evening video address, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the organization's mission visited all the objects that Russian representatives mentioned in their accusations about the so-called dirty bomb. Quote, "We have invited the International Atomic Energy Agency to check. We have given them full freedom of action at the relevant facilities, and we have clear and irrefutable evidence that no one in Ukraine has created or is creating any dirty bombs. And the only thing that is dirty in our region now is the heads of those in Moscow who unfortunately seized control of the Russian state and are terrorizing Ukraine and the whole world." Unquote. Volodymyr Zelensky believes that if Russia uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine, it will not exist as a state, and the world we live in will be a completely different world, reports Interfax Ukraine. Answering the question from the media, Zelensky said that the Russian authorities will not only have to deal with the external response to such an attack, but also internal revolutionary processes. Commenting on his possible participation in the G20 summit in Indonesia on November 15th and 16th, President of Ukraine said that if Putin takes part in it, then he won't. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzhny, said that the Russians have tripled the intensity of attacks on certain areas of the front, reports Ukrainska Pravda. According to him, up to 80 attacks per day are reported. Zaluzhny stressed that thanks to the courage and skill of Ukrainian soldiers, they are on the defensive. Another prisoner exchange took place yesterday, reports LBUA. As a result, 107 Ukrainian military were returned from Russian captivity, among them 74 fighters who defended Azovstal steel plant, which became the last stronghold of Ukrainian forces in the city of Mariupol back in spring. Many of those released were wounded in battles. Switzerland refused to grant Germany permission to re-export ammunition for self-propelled air defense systems Gepard to Ukraine, reports Militarny. According to the government of the country, Berlin asked for permission to transfer 12,000 Swiss-made cartridges for Gepard to Ukraine, but Switzerland cannot approve it as it will compromise neutrality in Switzerland's relations with the Russian Federation and Ukraine. The Serhiy Prytula Foundation announced that in just a little bit more than 1 day they managed to raise 236 million hryvnias, almost $6.41 million, instead of initially planned $5.4 million. The money were raised for the purchase of Spartan armored personnel carriers, reports Zahidnet. With this money now they are able to purchase not 50 but 60 such carriers. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. In gratitude for your help, we will give you access to a series of exclusive episodes on wartime life in Ukraine. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.